The stars looked different from the observation deck of Luna Base. Dr. Abigail Moore had spent countless nights staring at them, searching for signs of other life. Today, she wished she hadn't found it. The alarm blared through the station for the third time that hour. Red emergency lights cast eerie shadows across the curved walls as crew members rushed past her. Abigail clutched her datapad tighter, her knuckles white with tension. "Dr. Moore, they need you in communications immediately," a voice called over the intercom. She was already moving. The Drazari ships had appeared 7 days ago. 7 massive vessels that entered the solar system without warning, ignoring all attempts at peaceful contact. Their dark, angular forms resembled predatory insects, hanging in space just beyond Mars' orbit. Keith Harrison stood at the main console when Abigail entered the communications hub. The commander of Earth's orbital defense forces looked like he hadn't slept in days. Deep lines etched his face as he studied the incoming transmissions. "Please tell me you've made progress," he said without looking up. Abigail nodded. "Their language patterns are becoming clearer. It's not what they're saying that worries me, it's what they think about us." She connected her datapad to the main screen. Strange symbols and waveforms appeared, translations forming beneath them. "The Drazari believe we're weak," she explained. "Their communications refer to humans as soft prey and easy conquest. They've been watching our broadcast for years, analyzing our behavior." Keith's jaw tightened. "And? They've completely misunderstood us. They see our capacity for empathy and cooperation as weakness. They don't understand our history, our resilience." Abigail pointed to one particular message that had repeated several times. "Their commander, they call him Supreme Overlord Vex. He's telling his fleet that humans will surrender after the first show of force." A technician rushed into the room. "Sir, we're detecting energy buildups in the Drazari fleet. They're charging weapons." Keith moved quickly to the command station. "All defense platforms to battle stations. Alert Earth governments to prepare for possible attack." "It's too late," the technician said, voice shaking. "They're firing." The observation screens lit up as energy beams lanced from the Drazari ships toward Earth. The orbital defense platforms, humanity's first line of protection, responded immediately. Bright flashes marked the exchange of fire, but the alien weapons cut through human defenses with terrifying ease. "They're targeting major cities," another officer reported, horror in his voice. "Beijing, New York, London." Abigail watched in shock as the first impacts hit Earth's surface. Even from the moon, the flashes of destruction were visible. Millions of lives gone in moments. "Get me a direct channel," Keith ordered. "I want to talk to these bastards." "Sir, they're jamming most frequencies, but we might be able to get through on the old emergency bandwidth," a communications officer replied. Keith nodded grimly. "Do it." The screen flickered, then displayed the image of a being that resembled a tall, thin humanoid with smooth gray skin and large black eyes. Bony ridges lined its skull, and its mouth was filled with small, sharp teeth. "This is Commander Keith Harrison of the United Earth Defense Force. You are committing an act of war against a peaceful planet. Ceasefire immediately." The alien's expression was impossible to read, but its voice translated through the computer system. "Your weakness amuses us, human. Your species will serve the Drazari Imperium or perish. Your primitive weapons cannot harm us. Surrender now." Keith leaned forward. "You've made a terrible mistake. You should have studied us more carefully." The alien made a chittering sound that might have been laughter. "We have studied enough. You humans value individual lives. You hesitate to inflict suffering. Such restraint makes you perfect subjects. We will take your resources, your labor, and your world." "You misunderstand us," Keith said slowly. "Humans value peace, yes. But when threatened, when those we love are harmed," he paused, watching reports of destruction scroll across a secondary screen. "You should have listened to your scientists. You should have paid attention to our history." The alien commander dismissed him with a wave of its long-fingered hand. Empty threats from a dying species. The transmission cut off as another wave of energy blasts struck Earth's defense platforms. One by one, they went dark. "Evacuate all personnel to the emergency shelters," Keith ordered. and send a message to all surviving military outposts. Authorization code, Scorched Earth. What does that mean? Abigail asked. Keith's eyes were cold. It means we stop fighting by their rules. Over the next 3 days, Luna Base shook with impacts as the Drazari attempted to destroy it. Most of the base was built underground, protecting the thousands of personnel who had retreated to its depths. In a secure room deep below the surface, Abigail worked tirelessly with a team of linguists and code breakers. They intercepted and analyzed every transmission between the Drazari ships. They think they've won, she told Keith during a brief break. They're already dividing Earth into resource extraction zones. They believe the surviving humans will submit out of fear. Keith was looking at a different report. Despite the Drazari's overwhelming technology, their ground forces were meeting unexpected resistance. Human military units that should have been destroyed were vanishing into wilderness areas, mountains and oceans, only to reappear and strike without warning. My wife is coordinating with the resistance from the Rocky Mountain bunker, Keith said. Laura says they're adapting faster than the Drazari can respond. The aliens don't understand guerrilla warfare, said Paul Wilson, a Special Forces officer, who had escaped from Earth on one of the last shuttles. They expect us to fight like they do, direct confrontation, clear battle lines. When we don't, it confuses them. Abigail looked up from her work. I've found something important in their communications. The Drazari believe in absolute superiority. It's central to their culture. They can't comprehend fighting when victory seems impossible. They expect us to calculate our chances and give up. That's not how humans work, Paul said, cleaning a weapon he had salvaged. We fight hardest when the odds are worst. A young communications officer burst into the room. Sir, we've established contact with the underwater base in the Marianas Trench. Dr. Samantha Reed reports they've captured Drazari technology. They're learning how it works. For the first time in days, Keith smiled. Tell Laura and all resistance. Cells. Operation Long Hunt is now active. That night, as the Drazari celebrated their complete victory over humanity, the first of their supply ships exploded without warning. On their command channels, a message played in their own language. You ignored the warning. Now the hunt begins. 6 months passed since the Drazari invasion. Earth's surface looked different now. Alien structures rose from the ruins of major cities. Strange vessels patrolled the skies. The invaders believed they had won. They were wrong. Deep in the Rocky Mountains, Paul Wilson watched through binoculars as a Drazari patrol moved along the old highway. 5 soldiers in their insect-like armor, weapons ready. They looked nervous. They had reason to be. Ready? Paul asked the woman beside him. Laura. Harrison nodded. Commander Keith Harrison's wife had become the tactical heart of the mountain resistance. Her military background combined with her quick thinking had kept their group alive when others fell. The pattern is clear, she said quietly. They never changed their patrol routes. They can't imagine that we're studying them. Paul signaled. To the hidden fighters spread through the forest. 20 men and women armed with a mix of human weapons and stolen Drazari technology. The aliens had superior firepower, but humans had something more valuable. Adaptability. Miles away, in what remained of San Francisco, a Drazari commander named Kral reported to Supreme Overlord Vex. The holographic image of the Drazari leader flickered in the dim light of the command center. The human resistance continues to be problematic, Kral admitted reluctantly. We've lost 3 more patrols this week. Vex's large black eyes narrowed. Impossible. Our forces outnumber them. Our technology is superior. They don't fight like us, Kral tried to explain. They strike and disappear. They learn from each defeat. Each time we adapt, they change tactics faster than we can respond. Vex made a hissing sound of displeasure. Find their leaders. Destroy their hiding places. Make examples of those you capture. We've tried, but try harder, Vex snapped before his image vanished. Beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Samantha Reed worked in silence. The underwater research facility in the Marianas Trench had been built years before the invasion as a deep-sea exploration base. Now it served as humanity's most secret laboratory. Samantha carefully removed components from a captured Drazari neural interface. The aliens used these devices to connect directly with their ships and weapons. If she could understand how they worked, humans might be able to disrupt them, or better yet, control them. "Any progress?" asked Jason Grant. The engineer had arrived 3 weeks ago from Mars Colony, bringing crucial information about Drazari ship designs. Samantha nodded without looking up. Their neural technology is based on principles we were just beginning to explore before the invasion. They're not as far ahead of us as they think. Jason placed a data chip on her workbench. "The colonists on Mars discovered something important before I left. The Drazari ships have a vulnerability. Their hull material resonates at a specific frequency. Hit them with the right sound wave, and the metal becomes brittle." Samantha finally looked up, her eyes wide. That could change everything. In orbit around Earth, the last human warship drifted silently among debris from the initial battle. The Vengeance had survived by playing dead, powering down all systems as its captain, Olivia Martinez, watched the planet fall. For months, they had observed the Drazari fleet, learning their patterns, their blind spots. The crew of 40 had become experts on alien behavior, striking at supply ships when they could, gathering intelligence when they couldn't. Today they had scored their biggest prize yet, a Drazari officer, captured during a raid on a small transport. The alien sat rigidly in the makeshift cell, staring at Captain Martinez with undisguised contempt. "Your resistance is pointless," it said in broken English, learned from captured humans. "The Imperium spans 3 star systems. You cannot win." Olivia studied the creature. "Yet you're afraid of us, I can see it." The Drazari made a clicking sound with its jaw. "We do not fear prey." "Then why do your soldiers panic when they lose communication with each other? Why do they retreat when faced with unexpected tactics?" Olivia leaned closer to the cell barrier. "You expect us to calculate odds and surrender. You don't understand that humans fight hardest when winning seems impossible." The alien turned away, but not before Olivia saw a flicker of uncertainty in its large eyes. Back on Earth, Paul Wilson's team struck at the Drazari patrol with practiced precision. EMF grenades, designed by Samantha's team, disabled the aliens' communication systems. Without constant contact with their command structure, the Drazari soldiers became disoriented, their training falling apart in the face of isolation. The battle lasted less than 3 minutes. 4 aliens dead, 1 captured along with undamaged weapons and a command tablet. Laura Harrison accessed the tablet while Paul secured their prisoner. "This is a major find," she said, studying the alien text. "It contains patrol schedules for the entire region." "Can we transmit it to the other resistance cells?" Paul asked. Laura nodded. "Through the Ghost Protocol network. Dr. Moore's team at Luna Base set it up last month. The Drazari still can't detect it. The Ghost Protocol had changed everything. Scattered human resistance groups could now coordinate their attacks across continents. Information flowed between Luna Base, the underwater facility, Mars Colony, and the Vengeance. Humanity was no longer just surviving, it was organizing. That night, as Laura sent the patrol data through the secure network, she added a personal message to her husband at Luna Base. "Keith, the hunters are becoming the hunted. The Drazari still don't understand what they're fighting. We'll be ready for the next phase." On Luna Base, Keith Harrison received his wife's message with grim satisfaction. He turned to Abigail Moore, who had become the leading expert on Drazari psychology and language. "What will they do when they realize they're losing?" he asked. Abigail considered this. "They'll escalate. Their culture doesn't allow for defeat. They'll become more brutal, trying to break our will. And when that fails, they'll panic," she said simply. "Their hierarchy will fragment. They have no concept of individual initiative. Without clear orders from above, their entire system falls apart." Keith nodded slowly. "Then we target their leadership next. It's time to bring the hunt to them." Across Earth and beyond, the message spread through the Ghost Protocol. Phase 2 was beginning. Humanity would no longer just strike at patrols and supply lines. Now they would hunt the hunters. In his command center, Supreme Overlord Vex received increasingly disturbing reports. Human resistance was growing stronger, not weaker. His forces were losing ground. Impossible, he muttered, crushing a report in his long fingers. Humans are primitive, weak, emotional. His communication officer approached nervously. Supreme Overlord, we've detected a new transmission on all frequencies. The humans are broadcasting it everywhere. What does it say? Vex demanded. The officer's voice trembled. It says you ignored the warning, now nowhere is safe. 1 year after the invasion, the Drazari no longer strutted openly through the ruins of human cities. They moved in groups, weapons ready, eyes scanning constantly for threats that seemed to come from nowhere. Kevin Barnes watched them from the window of a collapsed building in what was once downtown Denver. The former history professor had never imagined himself leading fighters, but here he was. His knowledge of ancient warfare had proven surprisingly useful against the technologically advanced aliens. They're entering the kill zone, whispered Eric Davidson beside him. Once a video game designer, Eric now used his understanding of strategy and tactical simulation to outthink the rigid Drazari command structure. Kevin raised his hand, signaling the 30 resistance fighters hidden throughout the rubble. Remember, we need their commander alive. The Drazari patrol followed their usual route, another weakness humans had learned to exploit. The aliens relied on patterns and protocols, lacking the human instinct to vary routines when threatened. The trap was sprung with practiced precision. EMF grenades disabled the aliens' communications first, cutting them off from their hierarchy. Then sonic weapons, based on Jason Grant's discovery about hull resonance, shattered their armor. In the confusion, Kevin's fighters struck from multiple directions. The battle lasted 5 minutes. When it ended, 19 Drazari lay dead, and their commander knelt among the bodies, surrounded by humans with captured Drazari weapons. Kevin approached the alien officer, activating the translation device Dr. Moore had developed. Tell your leaders, Denver is now under human control. Any Drazari ships entering our airspace will be shot down. The alien stared with hate-filled black eyes. You are primitives. This victory means nothing. That's what your kind said a year ago, Kevin replied. Yet here we are. Hundreds of miles away, in the underwater facility, Dr. Samantha Reed made the breakthrough that would change the course of the war. For months she had studied the Drazari neural interfaces, learning how they connected to their technology. It's not just a communication system, she explained to the scientists gathered around her workstation. It's how they control everything, ships, weapons, even their automated defense systems. She displayed a diagram on the main screen. And I've found a back door. We can send false information directly into their network, make their own weapons see them as enemies. Word of Samantha's discovery spread quickly through the Ghost Protocol. Within days, resistance cells across Earth began deploying the new technology. Drazari defense systems turned against their masters. Security robots opened fire on their commanders. Surveillance networks showed empty streets when humans moved freely. On Luna Base, Dr. Abigail Moore watched the increasing panic in Drazari communications with grim satisfaction. Her team had completed a comprehensive psychological profile of their enemy, identifying vulnerabilities no one had expected. They've never experienced defeat, she told Commander Harrison. Their entire society is built on the belief in their superiority. When that belief crumbles, they don't know how to adapt. Keith nodded, studying the reports from Earth. Laura says they're already seeing signs of breakdown in their command structure. Lower-ranked Drazari are hesitating to follow orders they think might get them killed. Because we've introduced something they don't understand, Abigail said. Individual decision-making. Their hierarchy doesn't allow for it, but they're seeing humans succeed by thinking independently. Some of them are trying to copy us. Exactly. And their leaders consider it treason. In orbit, Captain Olivia Martinez's ship was no longer alone. The Vengeance had become the flagship of a growing fleet. Captured Drazari vessels repurposed and crewed by humans trained to use alien technology. Olivia studied the tactical display, showing Drazari positions around Earth. Their orbital defenses are concentrated over their main ground bases. They're pulling back, consolidating. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Alan Ford, nodded. They're scared. The Supreme Overlord has ordered all garrison commanders to hold their positions or face execution. How do you know that? Olivia asked sharply. Alan smiled. Our guest told me. He gestured toward the quarters where they kept their Drazari prisoner. He's becoming more cooperative. I think he's realized his leaders have no plan to rescue him. On Mars Colony, Jason Grant supervised the loading of weapons onto transport ships. The colony's manufacturing facilities, hidden beneath the surface, had been converted to produce the sonic disruptors that could crack Drazari armor. The first shipments will reach Earth next week, he told the holographic image of Sandra Mitchell, who now commanded the recaptured Luna base. How are things there? Sandra's expression was fierce with pride. We control all lunar operations now. The Drazari tried to retake the base yesterday. We destroyed their entire attack force. Jason whistled softly. Any survivors? One transport. We let it escape. Let it? Sandra smiled coldly. We loaded it with images, recordings of their defeat, their soldiers running, their ships exploding. Dr. Moore says the Drazari find visual evidence of failure deeply disturbing. Their culture has no concept of learning from mistakes. Psychological warfare, Jason nodded approvingly. Smart. In what had once been the United Nations building in New York, Supreme Overlord Vex raged at his commanders. The holographic images of Drazari officers flinched at his fury. Impossible, he snarled. How can primitives defeat the greatest military force in 3 star systems? You promised me victory. The humans fight differently than any species we have encountered, one brave officer ventured. They do not surrender when defeated. They learn, adapt, and return stronger. Excuses. Vex slammed his fist on the table. I want examples made. Execute 100 human prisoners in each territory. Show them the cost of resistance. The commanders exchanged uneasy glances. One spoke hesitantly. Supreme Overlord, we have few prisoners remaining. What? The humans rarely allow themselves to be captured now, and those we do capture often escape. Their resistance networks. Find them, Vex shouted. Find their leaders, their bases. Someone must know where they hide. What Vex didn't understand, what the Drazari mind couldn't grasp, was that there was no single human resistance to defeat. Humanity had become a swarm of independent cells, each adapting, each learning, each sharing knowledge through the Ghost Protocol. As Drazari commanders carried out Vex's orders, executing their remaining prisoners in public displays meant to terrify humans into submission, they achieved the opposite effect. People who had stayed neutral joined the resistance. Those already fighting became more determined. On Luna Base, Keith Harrison received the reports of executions with cold anger. He turned to Abigail Moore. Tell all resistance cells, Phase 3 begins now. No more reactive defense. No more small-scale ambushes. Full offensive? She asked. Keith nodded. The Drazari wanted war. Let's show them what happens when humans really fight back. That night, coordinated attacks struck every major Drazari base on Earth. Sonic weapons shattered their defenses. Hacked systems turned their own technology against them. Orbital strikes from the growing human fleet targeted their command centers with devastating precision. As dawn broke over a burning Drazari headquarters in Beijing, a message repeated on all their communication channels. You ignored the warning. You murdered our people. Now there will be no place to hide. 2 years into the war, Earth looked like a different planet. Smoke rose from the ruins of Drazari bases. Human flags flew over recaptured cities. The aliens who had come as conquerors now hid in fortified compounds, desperately calling for help that would never arrive. Captain Olivia Martinez stood on the bridge of the Vengeance watching Earth through the viewscreen. Her single ship had grown into a fleet of 15 vessels, all captured Drazari warships now painted with human symbols. Status report, she ordered. Lieutenant Alan Ford checked his console. Our forces have secured orbital control over North America, Europe, and most of Asia. The Drazari still have 2 destroyer-class ships defending their headquarters in Beijing. Olivia studied the tactical display. And the new weapons? Ready for deployment. Jason Grant's team delivered them yesterday. She nodded, a grim smile crossing her face. Tell all ships, Operation Thunderclap begins in 3 hours. On the surface? In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, Laura Harrison coordinated ground forces through the Ghost Protocol. What had begun as scattered resistance cells had evolved into an organized army. Fighters communicated through Dr. Moore's secure network, sharing tactics and intelligence in real time. Denver is completely liberated, Paul Wilson reported, his face tired but triumphant on the video link. The remaining Drazari tried to retreat to their ships, but the sonic weapons disabled their transports before they could launch. Laura marked, another green zone on the digital map. Chicago team, what's your status? Kevin Barnes appeared on the screen, a bandage visible on his forehead. We control 60% of the city. The Drazari are falling back to their central command post. They're following standard protocol. No creativity, no adaptation. Perfect, Laura said. Keep pushing. Captain Martinez begins orbital operations. Soon. We need to be ready to move when their communications go down. In the underwater facility, Dr. Samantha Reed made final adjustments to her most ambitious project yet. For months, her team had worked to fully understand Drazari neural technology. Now they had created something the aliens would never expect. The system is ready, she told the gathered scientists and military personnel. Once deployed, it will override all Drazari battle coordination networks. Their automated defenses will receive false data, showing human forces everywhere. How long will it last? Asked a general. 6 hours minimum. More than enough time for our forces to strike their command centers. On Luna Base, Commander Keith Harrison and Dr. Abigail Moore prepared to join the final phase of the war. After 2 years confined to the moon, watching Earth burn, they were finally going home. The transport is ready, Keith said, checking his gear one last time. Sandra will maintain control of lunar operations while we're gone. Abigail nodded, her expression serious. My team has completed the full psychological assessment of Supreme Overlord Vex. He's becoming increasingly unstable, ordering executions of his own commanders for failure. Will he surrender? She shook her head. Never. The Drazari leadership caste is conditioned from birth to view defeat as worse than death. He'll fight to the end, even if it means destroying everything. Keith checked his weapon. Then we'll have to reach him before he realizes he's lost. In orbit, Olivia Martinez gave the command that started humanity's final offensive. All ships deploy sonic disruptors. The human fleet released hundreds of small devices that spread out around Earth's atmosphere. Designed by Jason Grant based on his discovery about Drazari hull weaknesses, they began broadcasting at the exact frequency that would affect alien technology. Across Earth, Drazari ships suddenly found their hulls becoming brittle. Stress fractures appeared in vital systems. Weapons failed. Communication arrays shattered. Simultaneously, Samantha Reed activated her neural override system. Drazari command networks filled with false information. Their tactical displays showed human forces appearing everywhere at once. Automated defense systems, confused by contradictory data, either shut down or fired at shadows. In the Beijing headquarters, Supreme Overlord Vex watched in horror as his command center dissolved into chaos. Screens flickered with impossible readings. Officers shouted contradictory reports. What is happening? He demanded, his normally composed demeanor cracking. We've lost contact with all orbital forces, a communications officer reported, panic in his voice. Ground units report being surrounded, but surveillance shows nothing. Impossible! Vex slammed his fist on the console. The humans cannot have this technology. Sir, another officer interrupted. Our main defense grid is targeting our own troops. We can't shut it down. On the ground, human forces launched coordinated attacks on every remaining Drazari stronghold. In Denver, Paul Wilson led his fighters through streets now clear of alien patrols. In Chicago, Kevin Barnes directed operations that targeted alien supply lines. Across Earth, resistance cells emerged from hiding to reclaim their world. Laura Harrison watched the battle unfold through real-time updates on the Ghost Protocol. "It's working," she told her commanders. "The Drazari forces are fragmenting. Some are surrendering, others falling back to defensive positions." From orbit, Olivia Martinez directed precision strikes against alien command ships and headquarters. "Focus on communication centers," she ordered her fleet. "Don't let them coordinate a counterattack." The Vengeance led a squadron of captured ships toward Beijing, where the main Drazari headquarters still stood. Their hull markings, once alien, now displayed Earth's united symbol, a blue planet with a single lightning bolt. As Earth's atmosphere burned with falling Drazari ships, a transport from Luna Base entered the battlefield. Keith Harrison watched, his homeworld grow larger through the viewport, mixed emotions churning inside him. 2 years fighting from the moon, watching humanity suffer, had hardened his resolve. "We're approaching Beijing," the pilot announced. "Captain Martinez's fleet has cleared a path for us." Beside him, Abigail Moore studied the latest intelligence reports. "Vex is still inside the headquarters. He's ordered all remaining forces to converge there." "A last stand," Keith said grimly. "Predictable." In the Beijing headquarters, Supreme Overlord Vex received the news with cold fury. His invasion force, once the pride of the Drazari Imperium, lay in ruins. Human ships controlled Earth's orbit. Human fighters had reclaimed most major cities. "Send the signal to the homeworld," he ordered. "Tell them to send the entire fleet. We will burn this planet rather than lose it." His communication officer worked frantically at the console, then looked up with fear in his large eyes. "Supreme Overlord, something is blocking our deep space transmissions. We cannot reach the homeworld." Vex stared in disbelief. "That's not possible. The humans don't have that technology." "Sir," the officer said quietly, I think we underestimated them." Outside the headquarters, human forces closed in from all directions. Captain Martinez's fleet held position overhead, weapons locked on the structure. Transport ships landed in the cleared zones around the building, disgorging fighters equipped with sonic weapons and neural disruptors. Among them, Keith Harrison and Abigail Moore prepared to confront the alien leader who had brought so much suffering to humanity. The final hunt was about to end. "All teams in position," Laura confirmed through the Ghost Protocol. "Operation Endgame is a go." The message echoed across Earth and into space, where humanity's stolen fleet waited. They ignored the warning. Now justice comes for them all. The Drazari headquarters in Beijing stood as their last stronghold on Earth. Once an imposing symbol of alien conquest, now it was surrounded by humanity's forces. Smoke rose from damaged sections where the outer defenses had already fallen. Keith Harrison led a team of 20 elite fighters toward the east entrance. After 2 years commanding from Luna Base, being back on Earth felt strange. The gravity, the smell of smoke and dust, the sound of battle, all of it brought back memories of the invasion's first days. "All teams report in," he said into his communication device. "North team in position," Paul Wilson's voice came through clearly. "West team ready," Kevin Barnes confirmed. "South entrance secured," Laura Harrison reported. "Inner defenses appear to be active, but Samantha's neural disruptors are causing malfunctions." Keith nodded to his team. "East team moving in. Remember, we need Vex alive if possible." Inside the headquarters, Supreme Overlord Vex watched his empire crumble on multiple screens. 2 years ago, he had arrived as a conqueror, certain of easy victory over primitive humans. Now his invasion force was destroyed, his ships captured, his soldiers defeated. "The outer defenses have fallen," a junior officer reported, fear evident in his voice. "Humans are entering the building from all sides." "Activate the self-destruct sequence," Vex ordered. "If we cannot have this world, no one will." The officer hesitated. "Supreme Overlord, the system is not responding. Something is interfering with the command protocols." From her position in a mobile command center near the headquarters, Dr. Samantha Reed monitored her neural override system. For months, she had studied Drazari technology, learning how to intercept and manipulate their commands. They're trying to activate self-destruct protocols, she told the commanders gathered around her. I'm blocking the signal, but they might have manual overrides. How long can you hold them? Asked Captain Martinez through the video link from her ship in orbit. Maybe 30 minutes. Their systems are fighting back. Olivia nodded grimly. That's all the time we need. Inside the building, Keith's team moved efficiently through corridors lined with alien technology. The Drazari they encountered seemed disorganized, some fighting desperately while others surrendered immediately. They're falling apart without clear orders, Abigail Moore observed as they secured another section. Her understanding of Drazari psychology had proven invaluable throughout the war. Their entire society is built on hierarchy. Without it, they don't know what to do. Keith checked the building schematic Dr. Reed had extracted from captured data. Command center should be 2 levels up. That's where we'll find Vex. As they approached the central stairwell, a group of Drazari soldiers appeared, weapons raised. Before either side could fire, the aliens' communication devices activated simultaneously. A message played in their own language, Abigail's voice, using words she had carefully chosen. Your leaders have failed you. They lied about human weakness. Surrender now and live. 5 of the 8 Drazari immediately lowered their weapons. The remaining 3 hesitated, then opened fire. Keith's team responded with sonic disruptors that shattered their armor, leaving them unconscious but alive. It's working, Abigail said as they moved past the surrendered aliens. More of them are choosing to survive rather than die for a lost cause. Throughout the building, similar scenes unfolded. Human teams advanced methodically, offering surrender to any Drazari they encountered. Some fought to the death, but increasingly, the aliens chose to lay down their weapons. In the command center, Supreme Overlord Vex received reports of mass surrenders with growing rage. Cowards! Traitors! He snarled at his remaining officers. The Drazari Imperium does not surrender, sir, his second-in-command said quietly. The humans are offering terms. They say those who surrender will be treated according to something called Geneva Conventions. And you believe them? Vex hissed. After what we did to their cities, their people? They've kept their word so far. The prisoners report fair treatment. Vex drew his ceremonial blade. I will not be paraded as a trophy for primitive beings. Prepare for final stand. The command center doors exploded inward. Human fighters poured through the opening, sonic weapons disabling the Drazari. Guards instantly. Keith Harrison entered with his team, followed by Paul Wilson and Laura Harrison leading their groups. Vex stood at the central platform, surrounded by his few remaining loyal officers. His large black eyes fixed on the humans with pure hatred. So, he said through his translator, the prey comes to claim victory. Keith stepped forward. Supreme Overlord Vex, in the name of humanity, I accept your surrender. Vex made a sound that might have been laughter. I do not surrender. The Drazari Imperium does not surrender. The war is over, Keith said simply. Your forces are defeated. Your ships are captured or destroyed. Look around you, even your own officers are laying down their weapons. It was true. As he spoke, several Drazari in the room placed their weapons on the floor, stepping away from their leader. Vex raised his blade. I will die with honor. That option is available, Abigail Moore said, stepping forward. But first, there's something you need to understand about humans. She activated a display screen, showing images that made Vex freeze in place, cities being rebuilt, captured Drazari working alongside humans to clear rubble, medical teams treating injured aliens. What is this deception? Vex demanded. Not deception. Reality, Abigail said. Here's what you never understood about us. Humans value peace, yes. We hesitate to cause suffering, true. But those aren't weaknesses, they're choices. When threatened, we fight with everything we have. When we win, we can choose mercy. Laura Harrison moved closer. Your soldiers who surrendered are helping us rebuild. In return, they receive fair treatment. Some will eventually return to your homeworld, carrying a message about who we really are. Vex stared at the images, his certainty visibly shaken. Why would you show Mercy after what we did. Because that's the real strength humans have, Keith said. We can choose who we want to be even after everything we've suffered. We can choose justice over revenge. Slowly, Vex lowered his blade. Not in surrender, but in confusion. For the first time in his life, the Supreme Overlord faced something his rigid worldview couldn't comprehend. Outside the headquarters, human forces secured the last Drazari positions. Captain Martinez's fleet held position in orbit, ensuring no last-minute surprises from space. Dr. Reed confirmed that all alien self-destruct systems were permanently disabled. 3 days later, representatives from Earth's united governments met in the rebuilt United Nations building. Laura Harrison, now appointed as Earth's diplomatic representative, presented the terms of peace that would be sent to the Drazari homeworld. "We don't seek revenge," she told the assembled leaders. "But we do demand recognition as equals and reparations for the damage caused." The document was transmitted to the captured Drazari ships, which would soon depart for their home systems, carrying those aliens who wished to return. Along with the peace terms, they carried something else. A complete record of the war, showing how thoroughly the Drazari had misunderstood humanity. As the alien ships prepared to leave Earth orbit, they passed a newly constructed orbital platform. On it, a message was displayed in the Drazari language, visible to every departing vessel. "We warned you once. We won't warn twice."